how's it going? It's Nasi Pizwane back again with another episode of Sledging On Podcast. And today I've got Jasper Dan, one of the greatest of all time. This is a band that I've been following closely. And I'd like to send a special shout out to Devo of Devo Graphic Agency for setting this up. It's always a privilege, of course. Now, if you don't know Jasper Dan, they're one of the bands that actually opened up for Maiden when they came down, which is a very impressive, feat. And they've also been, featured in a lot of major lineups with some local musicians from here. I recall there was a recent show, actually. I think it's like a YYY show where even Rubber Duck was on, the lineup, and you'll be familiar with that, of course. So I'm super stoked to have a band of this caliber on the show, and of course you'll be sort of looking at the various accolades and achievements and how they go about, being the band that they are. So how are you guys doing?
Yeah,
awesome. How's bro? What
thanks
a nice
for,
welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Very much.
I'm super stoked to have you guys here. So I want to sort of look at, what I mentioned about you guys having opened. I don't like to use the term open, though. I used to, it's generally like a thing where I feel like you guys should be given the same level of respect as a band like Iron Maiden, because at the end of the day, you all musicians, they make music,
sure,
just like you guys make music. So, playing alongside Iron Maiden, how does Jasper Dan get themselves to a point where you're on that caliber? You are even, considered to be opening up for such a massive band like that.
Well, they actually closed for us, you see.
I believe that.
No. So, I mean, I guess, firstly, just to let you know, Jimmy can't join us, the vocalist.
Cool.
He's away at the moment, so so it's the three of us holding down the fort.
No problem.
And a weird thing about that is that none of the people here were actually in that lineup.
Oh, no way.
We all joined.
We're all fans of the band.
Which is a bit of a bummer,
but fans of Jasper Dan.
Yeah, I don't know.
At the time, Jasper Dan was South Africa's most hated metal band. It's not a metal band.
There was a lot of controversy around that.
There's always drama in the metal scene, unfortunately.
South Africa, hey? It's amazing.
All the time, especially when it comes to lineups. Like I remember, sorry to interfere there, bro. I remember recently we had the Wacken. Every time the Wacken, metal battle happens, there's always someone that's got to say something. And this year they had some alt bands in there, and people just went batshit crazy. But yeah, please continue.
Did you guys, you guys were talking about you guys played last year's
always
battle,
some scandal.
Yep.
But I think to answer your question, a lot of it was just kind of hard work and being smart about the whole thing. Jimmy, our vocalist, I always speak very highly of him. And a lot of what he did was going in and making sure that he knew exactly what the judges were looking for. He went to every single show that happened, and he took the feedback and brought it to the stage from the other bands. So there was a lot of just like being in touch and in tune with it, and just kind of, just making sure that he was doing what the guys wanted,
and putting on the best show possible, really.
100%, yeah. And then just taking that and just kind of running with it, and he's an amazing frontman, Jimmy. That's he's got so much energy on stage, and we just kind of feed off of that. And I think that had a lot to do with it, being able to like go up there and just put his best foot forward in the band. Got some cracking tunes, and it's catchy. Makes you feel good, and it's just a jam, man. I think a lot of that was just putting on a good show, just making sure he did the best that he could, really. Yeah, I think really that's really it. Just trying, just putting on the best show and all that, and just working with the people and building relationships. I think that's another thing that Jimmy's very good at is and us as a band, we try and do that as much as possible. With everybody that we try and that we work with. It's building relationships, and just working with the people and just sending out good vibes. And I think that was had a lot to do with how Iron Maiden came about. It was such a privilege. You got our name out there. Any publicity is good publicity. People either loved us or hated us. We were the Marmite of the music industry at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I mean, you're from Durban. I was playing and living in Durban, playing in a band called The Sinners, and we heard about Jasper Dan. we heard about Jasper Dan through this whole controversy. And my first thing I said to our singer Dave at the time was, "Hey, let's get a hold of these guys. Everyone hates them. Let's play shows with them."
Oh man, you guys are legends here in Durban. I remember playing a couple of shows. Well, the Sinners at least, yeah. Like I remember playing quite a few shows with you guys back in the day. So it's really cool that you're a part of the Sinners. I'm actually so privileged to be here. We got a part of Chaos Doctrine. We got a part of the Sinners. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm amongst royalty here.
Chuck, you ready to make some noise?
Are you ready to make some OnlyFans content? Oh no, he left.
No, he's gone again. This is reminding me of work. It's like, I think you're on mute, bro. Can everybody hear me? Can you see my screen?
By the time that this interview drops, guys, your latest single will have dropped. We're talking about Mama Voodoo. What a name, by the way. But one of the massive things, or one of the big achievements that you guys have had, is that it premiered on KERRANG Radio, which is absolutely amazing. Chuck, is that Chuck on the phone?
I think that's him with Jay. Hey?
He's probably having a bit of difficulty going on.
Yeah.
Put on your slippers and fucking come to my house.
They stay right next door to each other. He's cheating me out. Your slippers and come over. Yeah. Actually, they say it's quite a mess. Not recently. A little while ago, moved, but there was a point where myself, Jimmy, Jason, and Barrett stayed within 500 meters of each other and our local.
What? Was that intentional? Or?
No, it just kind of panned out that way. It worked out very good for 1969. The pub.
Yeah, I mean, I moved down from Centurion and moved into my house, and then suddenly I see Jamie drive out from the complex next door to me, and Funk's was 200 meters down the road.
Yeah. There's actually around about that time, I think I started having a horrible problem with the wheel alignment in my car. Every time I drove past the local, it just, there's a left turn in there. I couldn't help it, man. There was nothing I could do about it.
Oh, it was destined though. I mean, the fact that you guys just moved, within meters, within each other is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
It must have made band practice easier as well, hey? Because it's close by.
100%, man.
Let's look at, as I was saying prior to this, Mama Voodoo. Obviously, by the time this drops, the track will have dropped also. And I saw that it was basically, it premiered on KERRANG Radio. So congrats on that there. I do have some insight on how that may have come about. But for anyone who's maybe, who doesn't or isn't privy to this information, how did you guys go about actually achieving that?
Okay, well, sure. Seeing as though Jimmy's not here, he left us notes.
But getting onto KERRANG, kind of in the past, I mean, a big part of the band is that we kind of DIY or die. We do pretty much everything ourselves, the socials and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, we record with Robin Walsh, but we try and do as much as we can ourselves. Because it's money's tight in the industry, but
for sure.
And also we kind of pride ourselves on that. But with this, we were talking about, and we're like, we really need to kind of step up our game, and just put our best foot forward. I mean, it's a banging track. It's one of my favorites actually. I'm really proud of it. It's just how the whole thing is. We'll chat about it later, I'm sure. But we chatted to a guy called Devo. Jason actually put us in touch with him through Chaos Doctrine. And we've been working with him, and he's kind of run with it. He's publishing it for us. And he's just gone off on a mission. That guy, I really must take my hat off to him. He's really just gone all out with it, and he's just reached out to absolutely everybody that he can, and he's just gotten us into places that we never would have thought of going to. Sitting here chatting to you, it's amazing. And KERRANG, he just kind of out the blue was like, "Hey guys, your songs premiering on KERRANG." We were like, "What?" So that happened last night, which was amazing.
KERRANG is obviously one of the biggest, platforms in the world when it comes to alter music. I feel like publications or South African publications should be all over this. The fact that, Jasper Dan as a South African band, has, was premiered on KERRANG. Do you guys feel like the media houses and such are doing enough? I mean, I know this isn't a Jasper Dan question, but I feel like the alt scene as a community as a whole should be coming together to celebrate something like this, especially because it's a South African band that is on KERRANG and such. Do you feel like there's enough being done as a community, as the alt community as a whole, to push the bands forward?
For sure, because we don't. I mean, I suppose we fall under the alt umbrella, but we also fall under like the country music umbrella too. So it's not just the alt scene as such or media houses. It's everyone really.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we've had a hell of a lot of support from our local radio station here up in Joburg, Mix FM. But we struggle to get into the more commercial national radio stations for some reason, even though our music isn't sort of too heavy or too many swear words or the themes are evil or whatever, like my other bands.
I personally think, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Like Chuck was saying, there is, we've created some really, really good relationships with the people around us. You were saying Rubber Duck. I mean, they're great guys, Dirty Moonshine, Man is Machine, all of these guys, and some of the up and coming bands as well, like Screaming Colors, and just all these guys. We've got a really kind of close knit community. But then going back to what you were saying earlier about the alt scene with guys, I do often find that like there's all these little silos, that guys are doing their own little show and they've got their own little festival, and the same people go to those things, and everybody kind of wants to do their own thing and wants theirs to be the best, and it's there sometimes can be a little bit of ego involved, and it goes right the way back to the beginning with when the band opened for Maiden. There were guys that still to this day, I remember about 6 months ago, some post came up and a dude was like, "Oh, that's those guys that faked their way into Maiden." I'm like, God, that was like 8 years ago, dude. Let it slide. So there are, the South African community. There's very much people have their genre, and they don't kind of share the love. I was overseas watching music festivals, and I watched like Beck and like Mariah Carey, not Mariah Carey, what's the other one? Massive Attack, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Iggy Pop, like on the same lineup, And in South Africa, it's like, oh, they're not, like, doomcore sludge. We can't have them at our festivals. Like, guys, everybody, there's enough room for everybody, and the more more support there is, the better. So, I mean, going back to it is a double-edged sword. There's a lot of guys that support us, and we support them, and we have a great community. But then on the other side, you have these things where we really struggle to get into certain festivals because it's the same people playing them. You've got the same 5 or 6 names, and it's the person that knows them books whoever books those shows gets the same 5, 6 people into those festivals. So it can be quite tricky. But at the same time, there is a lot of love going on around us.
On an international level, though, we're also kind of far removed physically and geographically from Europe and from the States and everything. And plus our economy isn't that great. So it's like super expensive for us to go anywhere. Thank the Lord for the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%, guys. Let's look at your guys' single that dropped on the 12th of July. As we were talking about it, obviously premiering on KERRANG. How did it sort of come about? Why is it called Mama Voodoo?
Okay, I'm going to take this one.
Go for it.
Okay, Mama Voodoo grew very quickly from a single riff, which has remained as the main musical thread in the song. It was almost as if the song chose its own lyrical content as a theme of traditional and dark magic practices. Sorry, I'm reading this. From palm reading to tarot cards, crystal balls to ayahuasca ceremonies, the song tells a story of a spiritual journey of enlightenment through whichever of a various member of past people have chosen through the years. The mayhem of the journey ending in tranquility and peace as the image and emotion of the feeling of being immersed in the gentle rolling of the river's water. All in all, a theme that fascinates me and one that divides so many people, with a large audience being fearful of these and many others almost relying on these practices for finding peace and positive influence in their lives. The song being more about the latter audience. Mama Voodoo was tracked, mixed and mastered at Assegai Audio in Johannesburg by renowned producer Robin Walsh. This will be the 4th release from Jasper Dan under Robin Walsh, and is certain to be far from the last with the band, and Robin forging a close bond and friendship over the past few years. Unquote. the setting for it was also, I mean, it was during lockdown. We weren't allowed to go to our HQ where we normally rehearse Josie's show bar. It was closed because of lockdown and everything. So we rented a little studio space with Graham Watkins. And I mean, the studio itself was just pitch black and sound was dead in there. So it kind of also added to the atmosphere when we wrote this song, all about the voodoo and everything, and just pitch black studio, and we're not allowed to do anything, but we're doing it anyway.
I remember that. It was actually, it was, we did a lot of it with at Graham's place. Jimmy always says, he says we're fascinated. So we write songs about V8s, hot rods, motorcycles, and women, and sometimes voodoo and a lot of drinking. You go to you go to Jamie's place. I mean, he's got a fantastic bar at his house. I mean, he's got a beautiful house, and he's got a beautiful bar. And you go there, and there's all these like kind of South American and New Orleansy kind of like pieces of art and weird, like he's got this giant
headdresses and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. He's got like a giant replica of like one of those rhinoceros beetles in like a bell jar, big thing like that. And like I said, like crocodile, skulls and headdresses and all that. So he's always got that vibe. It's always 100%. And he's got a tattoo of Baron Samedi, beautiful tattoo of Baron Samedi on his arm. So he's always been fascinated about this and the tarot cards and all that. And I think, like Barrett said, this riff just kind of came out, and I was like, oh man, this thing is thumping, And then next thing, these lyrics just kind of happened. And as Jimmy said, I think he was just sitting there in his bar in lockdown, drinking homemade pineapple beer or whatever it was. Probably tripping out because he put too much yeast and sugar in there. These lyrics just kind of came out, and we were like, damn, let's just kind of go with it, It was quite easy to write the bass line that I put to it. Barrett put this thing together, and like my style is kind of working off of things that people put together, and finding a groove in that. I just kind of put that in. Jason slipped in amazingly with the rhythm when we actually all got into a room together and we had our instruments with us rather than sitting clicking buttons on a thing. And Jimmy had the lyrics and all that already, and it just kind of like Jimmy said and Barrett and Jason said, the thing kind of wrote itself, and we were just kind of like, all right, we got a song now, that's kind of groovy. So I mean, that was a good few years ago, and not much has changed really with the song since we wrote it in lockdown, but we spent a lot of time playing it. We spent a lot of time playing it live. We kind of ironed out the things, got the geography down, and we spent a good couple of years just kind of jamming it live. And we're like, we really need to get in studio with this, and because we all have day jobs, and there's only so much time, and also so much bucks behind it. We really enjoy working with Robin, so we have to pay for that time. It was a while before we actually got down and sat down with it in studio. We had some projects that were lined up and that we had on the timeline. So the nice thing about it is that we were super well rehearsed with the track by the time we got into studio with it. One of the things I'm really, really proud of with it is that it's actually a live recording. It's a one take wonder. We didn't sit down in the studio and write put down the scratch track and then send Jason in with the drums and then me do the bass afterwards and all that. We were all sitting in the same room looking at each other, and we were all jamming at the same time. Robin was like, listen guys, I want the song to be a live take. We want to capture that energy, and that we don't want it to be too sterile or whatever it needs to. We want to capture that. So that's one of the things about the song, is that it is a one take. It's a live song. There are mistakes in it, and it's like one of the things that I've always noticed in the band. It's not like an ethos or anything like that, but Jimmy always digs doing new, fun, interesting things. We've done some crazy stuff. I mean, we've played at the Lollipop Lounge, we've opened for Maiden. Jimmy always digs doing new and interesting things, and a big part of
Clout.
Yeah.
And I mean, Clout was playing with the Stones in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? It's
and I think a large part of this is that the fact us playing this live was something new and interesting. We do take things seriously. We work very closely with Robin Welch from Assegai Studios, and he's top of the game, really. He's one of the best producers, in the country. He's got a Grammy under his belt, So we do take it very seriously, but also we're like, let's do something cool and new, And I think this whole process was let's do something fun, let's do something new, and let's just try try something else out,
How did you guys go about sort of, creating the perfect rollout for this song? Because a lot of the time you'll find that that's where maybe bands might sort of lack a bit or might fail a bit. You'll create the song, everything is beautiful, everything is going as planned. The song drops, they promote it maybe once or twice, thereafter, maybe after a month or so, nothing. So what's the perfect rollout for you guys, and how did you ensure that the song is as successful as it's been, considering that it's out by the time that this episode has been released?
We've done a lot of things differently. We got Devo on board, and I think we've reached the point now. We've been around for a good few years, and as I said earlier, a lot of it is DIY or die. We kind of do our own thing and carve our own path, but you also need to reach a point where you're like, we need to get people that actually know what they're doing on board. Our forte is drinking Jack Daniels and occasionally playing some music. We're a drinking club that jams occasionally. That's what we do. But we're saying, like, listen, we've got a few number ones on mix, and they're amazingly supportive. Those guys, really can't thank them enough. We get played all the time there. They take every single one of our tracks and they run with it. And they're amazing, but we've kind of hit a couple of brick walls, if we want to go maybe a little bit mainstream, or, like KERRANG, we want to get ourselves international. We want to get ourselves playlisted properly on Spotify, and we're all torpies, man. We're all like post 40, some of us are kind of getting to pre 50, so as the oldest member of the band, I can attest to the fact that we're not getting any younger, but these lighties, they know what they're like, oh, they just go on, and then next thing there's all these cool videos happening and stuff's happening. We're like, how did they do that? And it took them like 15 minutes, where for us it would take us like 2.5 hours downloading stupid apps, and like there's ticks and tocks everywhere. So I think a lot of it with this track was just actually maybe eating a bit of humble pie and saying, we need to speak to people that know exactly what they're doing. And Devo's just kind of, as we said, come to the party with that, and he's just going nuts, man. We just see all these things every day. It's like, hey, poof, off he's going. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Listen, guys, we almost we at the tail end of the episode. This is something that I do want to touch on, because with you guys, it's fun. You guys have as much fun as you do, working hard. But I think it also needs to be looked at, the fact that you guys do give back. I'm talking about, the Page Project, which is something that is very interesting there, in terms of, kids with the cerebral palsy, which is absolutely amazing, that you guys encompass all these different elements. You guys play hard, you work hard, but you also give back, So how important is it to, for bands to just have, sort of like a good social footprint, would you guys say?
All four of us really are just, we have the thing that we do what we can with what we have. And especially Jimmy, I mean, he's such a generous dude. And he's always looking for something cool to do, he swam Midmar for Rainbows and Smiles, it's supporting kids with cancer, underprivileged kids with cancer. Jason's birthday, this year, we did a thing with the SPCA, and when we went to drop off the thing, Jay can tell you about it, ended up bringing a dog home, after we dropped off the food at the SPCA. It's like, oh, look at that. I'll trade you. I think an important thing with us is that, like I said, do what you can with what you have. We're all very well aware of the fact that we're not going to be on, posters on college girls' dormitory things. That's not, we're not in it for the fame or anything like that. We're just in it to have a jewel. We have a jewel whenever we're on stage. And then the other thing is that we have a platform, you know what I mean? We have a platform. Let's do what we can with it, and we enjoy, bands as well that we go out and we see them playing live, and they don't really have a massive following. We're like, hey man, come join us at our home base, Josie Showbar, that Jason mentioned earlier. And like I said, you just kind of get people on board, just make friends along the way, and just, do what you can. If you see an opportunity to do something, do it. And then, that kind of speaks for itself. We don't do it for the social media clout, but that does come along as part of it, But it's the forefront is having fun and giving as much as we can to our friends and supporters, really, is what it is. Eh?
Oh, absolutely love this. I love you guys. It's been an absolutely amazing conversation. I do want to know what your future plans are, so you can just let us know what's coming up for you guys. The single has dropped. What is next for Jasper Dan, and then we can get handles thereafter.
Cocaine and pussy.
On a more serious note, I think we're looking at hitting some more studio time with Robin, and yeah, we've got quite a few tracks that we still want to sort of push out and eventually put it all together into some sort of album. But yeah, I think there's a lot of studio time in the near future.
100%, yeah. It's a bit cold at the moment, so it's it's lekker to jol, but it's tough getting people to kind of come out, in the middle of winter. So we kind of made a decision to say let's do less gigs. Yeah,
that is epic, guys. I'm really looking forward to that there, and I'm pretty sure that the audience is as well. For anyone who wants to stay in, like, keep in touch and be in the loop in terms of what's coming up, where do we sort of get you guys? What are your social media handles and all that?
The place we really interact the most is on Facebook. You can find us,
and Instagram, really.
Yeah, and Instagram. It all kind of spills over to Instagram. So you can find us Jasper Dan ZA on Facebook. We did have an old page that got hacked by some gamer dude somewhere. And then the page just kind of fizzled out, which is very frustrating because a lot of our fans are that side. We struggled. We couldn't get it back. We made a new Facebook page, so it's Jasper Dan ZA on Facebook, and then from there, as Jay was saying the other day, that we do have our link tree there, so you can go from there. You can find all of our socials. The Instagram is there, our Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. All that sort of stuff is there, and you can go from there.
We're still working on TikTok.
Yes, yeah. We're working on the TikToks and the Toks, all of them.
All right, epic. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate this, just taking time aside to do this interview. I also just want to thank Devo as well for organizing this. I want to thank the audience, the people that have been tuning into this episode for tuning into this. It is obviously up on our websites. It is up on social media as well. If you want to check us out, we are at Sledge Underground on Instagram, on Facebook, Sledge Underground, and that's pretty much where you can find us. Our website is www.sledgeunderground.com, and do get that merch in the Sledge Underground store. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you learned a lot about the band. We're going to close out with Mama Voodoo, and catch you guys next time.
Read upon a tarot card, drink a pale down, look inside me, pale tape, I'm gone today, Father, shame and guide me gently.